Hey, everybody, here comes the boom. Live right here on a neutral corner. Our guest tonight, I'm so excited that he took time out of his day to sit with us for a little while and talk about boxing. And look, former world champion in two weight classes, WBC IBF light welterweight titles and the IBF welterweight title. Uh, I'm excited. I'm really excited about this, and it's a great day. It's a great day. The weather's been great, but we got another great with us. We got two-time and two different weight classes, former world champion, no other than Devon Alexander, the great. Bring him on, Devon. How are you?
Ding, 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 ding. How's it going, my good man? JJ, happy to be
What's
on the
happening, man?
show.
How you doing, man?
Oh man, happy to be on the neutral corner. One of the
Thank you so much.
best corners in the game.
That's it, man. And look, I want to thank you for taking because you got a lot going on, and we'll get into that. But I want to thank you for making time to come on the show, man. I really appreciate it. But we were just talking a little bit about your amateur career, 301 fights. That's amazing.
Oh man, it was a roller coaster from the beginning when I started fighting at age 7, and I just never stopped. I was a top amateur. And when you're a top amateur, USA Boxing wants you to go everywhere. Like
Right.
they want you overseas. They want you at every tournament, at every duel. So that's why I racked up the wins.
Wow. That's amazing. Let me ask you this: where did this whole journey begin? How did you get into boxing? Tell me a little bit about that.
Okay, my journey to boxing. So, as you know, I'm from St. Louis, Missouri.
Yep.
I'm from a impoverished neighborhood. There was little to no structure where I'm from. A lot of killing, a lot of drugs, a lot of bad habits, a lot of things that kids my age shouldn't see. So one day at my school, because we had a police officer at my elementary school, and my coach, who was Kevin Cunningham, said, "Hey man, I'm doing a boxing gym for kids, young men that wants to stay off the streets, that wants to do something positive. Meet me at the gym around such time, and you can try out." I begged my mom for at least 2 weeks to go, but my mom always kept a strong hold on her kids, kept a strong hold on her kids because she knew the dangers of my environment. She knew.
Mm.
So after a while, she let me go. She said, "All right." So my brother went first. My big brother went first, and then she let me go. So they say the first day I came, I was cheesing from ear to ear, smiling and hitting the bag, just cheesing from ear to having an amazing time. So I fell in love ever since.
Wow.
My first day was the rest of my life.
What 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 did it feel like walking into the gym, a boxing gym, for the first time? Because back in the day, people say, "Oh, walking into a gym, it's dark, it's dingy, there's guys hitting the bag." What was it like for you? What was going through your mind when you first walked into the gym for the first time? I know you were smiling ear to ear and excited about it, but
Yeah.
were you nervous? What were you expecting?
That's a good question because what I remember or the feeling was I was happy to be doing something positive. I was happy to be able to say after every day of school, I'm going to the boxing gym. I'm doing something that's meaningful. I was just happy to be doing it. And when I first went to the gym, I didn't think of nothing like I wanted to be like Tyson. I wanted to be like one of the best fighters out. It was just something to do at first. When I first started boxing, it was something to do, and I enjoyed it. So, and before then, I didn't have any knowledge of any champions or any fighters out there. It was just something to do. And it wasn't until after I started boxing And that's when I got into it and starting to learn about the game.
Yeah, so it's safe to say, thank God for the boxing gym. It basically took you off the streets and saved your life.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, me personally, I was never a kid that gravitated to the streets. I was never one of those kids that wanted to be a gang, wanted to fight in the streets, wanted to do drugs, wanted to go to the clubs. I was never one of those kids. My surroundings was was full of it. But thank God I never had that itch, I say, to gravitate to the streets. I never had that. And a lot of people ask me, why did I never join a gang? Why did I never? It was because I never found it interesting. Never found being in the streets, being on the street corner appealing to me. It was never just appealing to me.
Yeah, and it seems like it could have been easy for you to go that way because it was
Many,
all around you.
many of my peers, I started with 40, maybe 35, 40 boys in that boxing gym. And a lot of them fell victim to the streets and the games. A lot of them died. A lot of them went to jail, and a lot of them fell victim. And that was heart. That was um, the heartbreaking stories of my life growing up. Just to see year after year my peers fall victim to the streets. And
Yeah.
it was just a common thing to happen. And I used it as motivation, of course. It was just, I just used it and fuel to never be like that.
Wow. Wow. Great story. And I know you do a lot within your community because, like I said, and we'll get into that. So 301 professional fights, and now you're moving into the professional side of boxing. Is there anything you brought over? Like when you started amateur boxing, what did it teach you? Discipline, right? It taught you how to work hard and all that. Is there any? Did you bring anything of that into your boxing career that you learned as an amateur? Because it's a whole different game.
Absolutely, absolutely. What I brought from the amateurs was pretty much the same thing that I've learned in amateurs, where consistency is key throughout life, regardless. I don't care what you do, consistency is key to being a lawyer, being a doctor, being whatever. Consistency is key. So just as I turned pro, I had to really focus and really be consistent with my craft in there and really learn the game. You know, uh, building that foundation, having that amateur career really helped me get ready for the pro game. It really helped me. It taught me how to box a little bit, how to fight different fighters. They give me different looks in there, and it really helped me. So I took that what I've learned, and of course, when you turn pro, it's gonna be totally different. It's totally different. No headgear, no shirt, and smaller glove.
Yeah.
So it's totally different. So to say I wasn't nervous when I first turned pro was I'll be lying, but I was ready. I was ready. I was um what do I say? I was made to do it. I was already cooked. I already had enough experience to be ready for the program, so I was ready.
Yeah, and when you turn pro, your first professional fight, your very first professional fight. Tell me a little bit about your very first professional fight and what was going through your mind and what was that like?
My very first fight, a million things was going through my head. Um, I can't lie, a million things going through my head, but I was so excited when the bell rung. I just went because you in there now. This is the pro game. This is the hurt game. This is where I really it really counts. This is what I've been working hard towards. So it was just time to go. I was ready, man. I was just ready to show the world that St. Louis is going to have another champion on their hand very, very soon. That's what I was thinking. And I was thinking about my dad. I wish my dad was able to see it. I wish my dad was able to see my success, see my pro debut. I thought about my dad a lot because he's the reason why I'm so I have so much humility in my heart because he taught me a lot of that. You know that treat people how you want to be treated. Treat the man the same way, whether that man have $1 billion, whether that man have a dollar. Treat him all the same. So I just, my birthday, it was a lot of, I was thinking about my dad a lot, my
That's
birthday,
that's
and
that's amazing.
I'm
That's
sure he was proud.
Yeah, and I'm sure he's very proud. And I know because I watched uh a little bit of your life story on HBO, and it was really touching, and I love that you're so honest in it. If you get a chance, you gotta watch the documentary on Devon Alexander on HBO, man. It's an amazing thing. So let's get into because I know you never duck and dodge nobody. You would take a fight. You didn't care. So today in boxing, right, everybody's afraid to lose because they feel if they lose that zero, that they're not going to be up there in the A side of boxing. And you weren't one of those. You fought every. I mean, you fought Sean Porter, Amir Khan, Ortiz, Berto, Bradley, Madina. I mean, you fought everybody. I don't. Let's start with Sean Porter. What was it like preparing for that? Because I watched that fight. So what was it like preparing for that fight? I mean, when you say you come out and you're ready to go, you're not lying. If you get a chance to go on YouTube and look up some of Devin Alexander's fights, when he says he's ready to go, he's ready to go. Tell me about the Sean Porter fight.
So for that fight, I was supposed to fight Kell Brooks. Kell Brooks pulled out 3 times, so we slid Sean Porter in there. We knew Sean Porter since we was amateurs. Uh, we met Sean Porter in the Ohio State Fair, so we had a history. And if I'm not mistaken, my big brother beat him in the Ohio State Fair. So we had history. So we knew we was gonna have a tough fight in Porter. So we knew we had to go to work and be consistent and use our strong suit, which is my leg in there. And with Sean Porter, I didn't expect him to be as aggressive, like the Bradley style per
Mm.
se. And it kind of shocked me. But me looking at that fight, and I watched that fight a few times, I thought I pulled it off, but people thought different. I thought the champion, if you wanted the belt, you had to take it from the champion. And me personally, I thought I pulled it off, but you know, the judge didn't see it that way. I really would have liked it a rematch, but we moved on.
Yeah. So what was it? Was there any? Because I know Cal Brook pulled out 3 times. So did you change any game plans when you knew you were going to take Sean Porter, or did you stick with the same game plan you would have had with Cal
Oh,
Brook?
absolutely. Because Cal Brooks was a little more craftier and he was a little more smarter. But we knew going in there with Porter, we was going to have to be on our A game and be smart. And of course, I got a couple cuts because he's more of a end fighter. He coming to get you. So I wanted to use my legs. The game plan with Porter was to use your legs to get around. And Kell Brooks did good with keeping Sean Porter at bay. And that was the game plan that we had. When you keep Sean Porter at bay, it's kind of hard for him to do that little thing you do where he's
Yeah.
on you all night. So if you ain't there, you can't get it off. So that was the game plan that we had.
Yeah, I know. I think it was the Bradley fight. You got a cut. You guys banged heads. So what? So and look, I know I only got you for a short period of time, so I don't want to take up too much time. Out of all those fights you had with the Bradley fight, that sucked because you were doing good, man.
Yeah.
And
man, looking back at that fight, I'm disgusted at myself because the headbutts. Now, when I tell you those some vicious headbutts, those are my first headbutts that I've had in my career. And when I tell you those were some vicious headbutts that he was using, they were vicious. But looking back and looking on the outside of, I wish I would have stuck it out and kept going. It still kills me to this day that I didn't finish the fight. But at the time, I was thinking, let me save my eye, let me not overdo it because I can't come back and fight another day and be smart about it. So that was my thinking on it, you know. So, but I regret it to this day still too.
But it was affecting you. You could see your frustration when you came to
Yeah,
the corner and seen the doctor.
yeah,
You could see, so it was affecting your vision. I mean, you know what?
ab-
You could go out there and get hurt. You're not seeing you, and that punch you don't see is the punch that's going to end it all.
absolutely. Man. He was he had a third weapon, which was his head. So there's nothing I can do about that. I don't like to make excuses. He got the victory, but me personally, I hate that I didn't keep going and finish the fight. That's what I hate about myself and what I didn't do.
Let me say this, right? So obviously your health's more important, right? But I think it was a smart decision. Like you said, you could have come back and fight it anyway. Why not a rematch?
Yeah,
Why
yeah.
did why did a rematch never happen?
So in the contract, it was a rematch clause because both of us had a perfect record at the time. So for some reason, he moved on. We asked for the rematch. He moved on. I knew he wasn't going. I knew he was going to take that win and run as fast as possible to the other person. I already knew it. So I was a bit sour about it, but I moved on.
And I think I know why he moved on.
Yes,
And I think you do too. And I think everybody watching knows why
yes,
he moved on.
yes,
Uh, I like the Marcos Medina fight. That that fight I loved. I mean, you could hear the punches, and I have surround sound, so I mean that fight, that fight I liked. It showed your aggressiveness, and you can box. You can box, and your corner kept telling you, relax, relax.
yes.
You got this box. You know what I mean? I love your footwork. I love how you use the whole ring. You got a great jab. The right hand comes right across. That Medina fight. Tell me a little bit about that fight. How'd that come about?
So I had a couple subpar performances, right, at 140. So that fight, I moved up in weight, and I know I could not have no more excuses to why I was looking a certain way. So I had to be at my best, and I had to be at the top of my game. So what I did, I went to work, and I knew that I had a good record on opponents coming towards me. I'm a good boxer. I'm a very good boxer. So I knew that when I get an opponent in there that's not as smart as me, I'm going to be able to use my smarts. And in all camps, I knew if I used my legs, I was going to be victorious. And that was my whole thinking in the fight. That was my whole thinking during training camp. I mean, and then in the fight, I felt strong. I felt good. My legs felt good, and I saw every punch he was throwing. I was so alert, and in there, there was nothing Medina was going to do that was going to stop me from fighting. I was at home, and I had to prove myself. I had something to prove in that fight, and there was nothing he was going to be able to do. Nothing.
And it showed in that fight. I mean, you were laser focused. Your punches were accurate and sharp. You know what I mean? I love how you counter punched, the way you moved in the ring, how you turned them in the corner. They just your boxing ability was great. I how do I say this? I don't. Out of those top fights you had with Porter, Khan, Martinez, Ortiz, Berto, Bradley, and Martinez, who gave you the toughest time, or who hit the hardest, or anybody that you boxed? Who was the hardest puncher?
So let me tell you. So I would have to say, and I don't even think this is a fair assessment of it, but I would say Lucas Matisse was probably my hardest opponent
Wow.
because I was at 140, right? I was having troubles making 140 at the time. There is no way that I was going to be 120% losing the weight that I was losing at the time I was losing it. Because a day before the weigh-in, I was 141. I was already starving myself. That pound could not come off at all. When I tell you it couldn't come off at all, it couldn't come off at all. So when I knew it was going to be a tough fight. So when I got in there, I felt good the first 3 rounds, right? The fourth round, my legs got to cramping up. I said, "Oh, I got this killer in front of me, and he's trying to tear my head off."
Yeah.
But and I'm at home, and me personally, being at home saved me. That's what saved me, and having that extra motivation saved me. That really did. But I say he's my toughest fight because he even with a body shot so hard that I had to rethink why the f I was doing it. He hit me, no lie, no lie. This he hit me with a body shot so hard, and I've been hit in the body a few times. But this particular fight, he hit me in the body so hard, he had me rethinking why the hell am I doing it?
Yeah. And body punches linger. Body punches linger.
It was a tough body shot, tough body shot, and throughout that fight, he hit me with a couple of more of those body shots, and to this day, I tell people that was my toughest fight.
Wow. Wow.
I had, I literally had nothing. 6 rounds and beyond, I had nothing. I just got through the fight on pure heart and the wherewithal. That's the only way I got through that fight. Cause I had no legs, no energy, nothing. I got through that fight just on pure heart.
And that
And
and what go
and
go ahead. So what people don't understand is what you go through to make weight. That takes a lot out of you. I
uh,
mean, it sucks the life right out of you, man. And people say, well, you just rehydrate up. Yeah, but that don't. I mean, it doesn't help. I mean, you're drained, mentally, physically. Your body feels it. Everything feels it. Now, let me ask you. Let me ask you about your first world title fight. Walk me through that. I want to know what it felt like. I want people to hear it from you because I hear it on Neutral Corner. I like to give the platform to the guests, and because I, I want people to understand what it take, what we're seeing on TV, HBO, ESPN, Showtime, The Zone. You're seeing the final product. You're not seeing, and that's why I loved when HBO did the 24/7. They would follow you guys through the training camp because they wanted to give people that side that you don't really see of guys training and what they got to go through. Talk to me about your first world title fight.
man, that's a good question. So that's my first world title fight. So it was against Junior Witter, of course. And little backstory: when I first uh, when I first started fighting, right, my coach had a picture of Azula Nelson with the green belt on, right. We had the news channel there interviewing the kids, him starting the boxing gym or whatever. They asked me, what do I want out of boxing? I said, I want that green belt right there. I pointed dead to Azula Nelson, right there on the wall. So just so happened that was the first belt I won. That
Yeah.
was the it was so surreal to be able to say I wanted that belt. The first day I went to boxing, I wanted that belt, and it's going to actually be my first belt. It was amazing, amazing. So, but the feeling. So, let me show you how focused I was during that time. So, when I fought Gene Witter, when I was in that fight, right, I didn't even have the world championship on my mind. The only thing I was worried about is winning. The only when it kicked in that I won the world title is when they put it on my belt. I was so focused on just winning and beating him, I forgot I was even fighting for a world title. The whole fight, the WBC did not even come to mind. That's how razor focused I was on being the best in there and being the best as I can be. And when they did put the strap on me, that's when the emotions came and me thinking about my dad came and all the work, all the blood, all the people that died that couldn't be here to see this. I me knowing that I have made it, it was a surreal moment. Surreal.
Yeah.
I can only explain it. You you have to experience it yourself and go through the experience of poverty, of all the things that I've been through. Lonely nights. Some nights you don't eat. Some nights, you don't have the best of clothes. Some nights, you cold as heck, and you gotta have a coat on to keep from freezing at nighttime. You have no heat. You have no space heater. All those emotions came to me that night that I won the belt, and I slept with it.
You slept with the belt.
That was vacant, and I was able to keep that belt, and they didn't have to send me a belt, and I slept with it. I slept.
Wow.
It was just a surreal moment, and I was hoping my dad came in my dream, but he didn't. But it was for him. I thought about him, and just all the hard work. It was just a surreal moment for me.
I think I got a picture. Justin, throw up the picture where he's got the WBC belt on. You have that? You should look at that. You slept with that. Boy, you're in shape now. Look at you here, and you're still in good shape.
Oh, I gotta stay safe, James.
Look at that. Well, I love it. Yeah.
Still
That's,
there.
and then the IBF.
Absolutely. And then that's when I beat you, Juan Urango.
Yep.
That was when the Juan Urango fight is what catapulted me to top contention. Like they like, wow, this kid is good, you know.
Yeah.
And that fight really, I think put me at another level that I wanted to be at.
And then you move, and then you move to another weight class, and what a championship
Yeah,
there.
the dangerous, the dangerous Randall Bailey. The day, I mean, no, you know how Randall Bailey hit, and he was one of those hitters that man, if he hit you and if he catch you, you going to sleep. I was just a fighter that I didn't care. This is boxing. If you believe in your skills and you believe that you know how to be anybody, there's nobody you should duck. There's nobody out there. If he's your weight class and he's in your ranking, there's no way you should be ducking anybody.
Wow. And I
Line and knock them down.
and I like that. I love that. I love that in you, and I've always loved that in you. You were so confident. You believed in yourself, and that's all that mattered. You know what I mean? It was believing it, and I think that's what's missing in today's boxing, right? So let's go into today's boxing. What do you? I mean, do you watch boxing now?
Absolutely, absolutely,
Who's
absolutely.
your favorite fighter right now?
Good question. My whole career, I have never said some fighter was my favorite fighter because I take bits and pieces from each fighter. I take bits and pieces from each fighter, and I learn from them. And I got bits and pieces of fighters that I like better. But as far as someone being my favorite fighter, if I had to choose, it would be Pernell Whitaker.
Yeah.
And,
Sweet pea.
but because I was southpaw myself, and he was a good southpaw, and I learned a lot from him. The way he moved, his defense was impeccable. So he was probably my favorite fighter to watch. I used to watch him all the time. Every fight that I went in, I watched him. Every fight.
So, so when you talk about taking bits and pieces from, I think we lost him. Is he back? Justin will work on getting him back. But my question to him is how he just talked about taking bits and pieces, but he never had a favorite fighter. He just took bits and pieces from other fighters and learned from them. So I want to know some of the other fighters that he had. You know what I mean? So Justin, are we working on getting him back? I want to get into some of the things, what he thinks of boxing now, and if he could, I really wanted to talk to him about. All right, so they're working on bringing him back now. So it's tough when you do these live shows, and technology today isn't all what we think it is. Uh, Stuff like this happens. You know what I mean? So which is good. You know what I mean? Um, but it is what it is. And I love having Devin. Devin's a humble man. He's got a lot going on. He speaks within his community. I know he's done public speaking. I wanted to talk to him about that. And hopefully we have that opportunity talking to him about that when he comes back. Um, and he's got an event coming up. He's got a gym. So there was other things we wanted to get into, and Justin, the producer, is working on getting him back. And sometimes that can be tough to do. Like, look, technology, man, it's not easy. It really really isn't easy. So, but let me take this opportunity to speak to you all. My big question is, um, what do we think of? Let me ask, because I'm from the Massachusetts area, and my biggest question is, why not high school boxing? Now I know. Give me a second here while I type. Boxing is not a high school sport in my area, but I often wonder why. And I think now, just speaking to Devin, talking to Devin, and he was happy. It was easy for him to get into the streets or get into drugs and all this stuff at a young age, but he ended up getting into boxing. My thing with high school boxing would be simple. Um, just give me a second here. I apologize. I think high school boxing would be great. And when I talk about high school boxing, let me be straight. It would be Olympic style boxing. All right. And headgear, gloves, and stuff like that. But your freshman year of high school, you got into the boxing program. You're not fighting anybody. You're not even sparring anybody. You are going to learn the basics of boxing. Learn to throw the jab. Learn your footwork. Learn to work out and be dedicated. Okay. And if you wanted to stay in the program, you'd have to prove yourself, because we're not going to put somebody in the ring that's not ready. We're not going to put anybody in the ring that's not working hard. And look, when you play baseball, basketball, football, soccer, if you didn't work out that week, you got your teammates to hide behind, right? That doesn't happen in boxing. You're in that ring by yourself. And if you don't prepare and if you don't work hard, it's going to show and you're going to get injured. You can get hurt really, really bad. So that's the thing. So your freshman year would be basics, and the coaches would be really watching your grades, watching your dedication to the sport, your that you wanted it. And then your sophomore year, it would advance a little bit. You still wouldn't be sparring nobody, You would be working on what you learned your freshman year. You start hitting the mitts and you start advancing a little bit, learning a little bit more advanced stuff, or just working on what you learned your freshman year. Head movement, hitting the mitts, hitting the bag, jab, footwork, cutting the ring off, turning guys in the corner, and all those basic things. And those would be something you would continue to work on your sophomore year. Now, your junior year, if you've been in the program for 2 years, your junior year, that's where you would begin starting to spar, okay? And it would be done under the eyes of coaches and people that are certified through USA Boxing. Right? It would be done professionally. It would be done with safety being the biggest thing. All right, and then and that's the thing. So when you start with the boxing, let me just real quick go over here because I'd love to get Devon back on. I'm going to resend him uh, the link to come back on, and yeah. So I don't know. They're working on it, and he might have some tough Wi-Fi. Let's see if we can get him on, Justin. I know you're working hard back there, but it's okay. Devin will come on again. I know he will. And it was great to have Devin. But let me get back to the high school boxing. So in your junior year, you'd start sparring guys, and you know you would start advancing in the program. It would be a process, and everything would be watched under the eyes of USA boxing certified coaches. And then when you got into your senior year, that's when you would compete against your local high school. Let's say New Bedford had a boxing program, Taunton had a boxing program, Brockton had a boxing program. We could have the big three in boxing, and you would compete and be a high school boxing because boxing teaches you a lot about yourself, right? It teaches you discipline. It teaches you how to work and diet and take care of yourself. There's so much that we could get into uh, and how it helps. It's not a violent sport. It's a sport just like anything else. And if you ask me, if we talk about liability, well, what about wrestling? How many injuries do we have in wrestling? How many injuries do we have in football? How many injuries do we have in soccer, volleyball, lacrosse, ice hockey? Right? So let's try to gauge the liability and the injuries, and I think that's important to do, right? So yeah, I mean, it's just a lot of things that want to go into it. I would love to have one night a show where we can really talk about high school boxing, and I'd love to get some local guys on, maybe some local guys, Aaron Bonato, you know, Laos from Stay Ready Boxing, and just have a roundtable discussion about high school boxing. Ray Oliveira, Scott Sandman Pemberton. Let's have these local guys on that have been involved in the sport and how it's changed their lives. You know what I mean? I mean, if you look back in boxing, boxing is a sport that's helped many, many people that may have gone down that wrong road or were about to. You know what I mean? So I think these are things to discuss and things to talk about. I feel personally that boxing as a high school sport, yeah, we can do that here in Fall River. We can, and I think it would help a lot of the youth, and it would really help with bullying. Not to say they'll be fighting with each other. That's not the case, because once you start learning boxing, you become confident in yourself, right? And there would be rules. You get caught fighting one time in school, out in the streets, you're done. You're done. You know what I mean? So there would be implements like that. You know what I mean? But I think it would work great for a lot of our youth in Fall River. I know Bernardo Boxing has a great youth program. Paul Iannuzzi out of Rude Dog Boxing in Brooklyn, Connecticut, has a anti-bullying program, Heroes program, where they work with a lot of youth. And I think that's what's important, is to figure out a way we can make boxing a high school sport. Like, look, this ain't the first time I'm talking about it. I've been talking about high school boxing for years. Years I've been talking about it, right? And I just want to get a roundtable discussion. I can bring on John Scully to talk about high school boxing. Hall of Fame fighter, pro fighter, boxing analyst on ESPN. Bring him on. Let's bring on Bronco Maca. Let's talk to these professionals also. Let's have a roundtable discussion with very knowledgeable people in the sport of boxing that's fought at that level. Let's bring Devon Alexander in to talk about professional boxing. Let's have this roundtable discussion solely dedicated to what do we think about high school boxing. Now, I know colleges have boxing, Army, Navy, that's all part of the program in their colleges is boxing. How do we make boxing a high school sport? Because I really feel deep in my heart that boxing would go a long way in our schools with helping about a lot of problems. Now, look, we always talk about information changing situations. That is a given. So what we need to do is inform people about the sport of boxing, and I think that's going to make them change their thinking. Because once you talk about boxing, right away, it's a violent sport. It's going to promote violence. That's not the case because we have wrestling in high school, right? We have wrestling in high school. I don't see any of these kids wrestling in the hallways or anything like that. Boxing can work in our community, and boxing's growing back in Fall River with a lot of these gyms that are doing great things. We got the PAL, we got Love's Boxing, we got Bonato's Boxing, we got Stay Ready Boxing. We got a lot of great programs that have a lot of great young kid boxing classes. And I think it's important that we have that discussion. Let's make it a high school sport. And if we want to do it, how do we go about doing that? And I think that's a discussion that needs to be entertained, and we need to talk about that. So I want to thank real quick Devon Alexander for coming on tonight. Let me see if I can give him one more shot. How about this? Let me try to call him and find out if he's, because I know he's so busy, and I am so excited that he took the time to come on and come on the show. Justin, if you listen, if you could play the intro one more time, that would be great while I try to see if, unless you're working on it in the background.
Ali's trainer right next to me is saying it. You may hear him. Down goes Frazier.
So we're back, and we're trying to get Devon back, but if we can't, that's all right also. So it was great having him on, and I'm sure he'll come on again with us at another time. And so, Devon, I just want to thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule. I wanted to talk about the event you got coming up. I wanted to talk about your gym. I wanted to talk about high school boxing, but it was great to have you on for that short period of time. And yeah, his phone might have died, and I thank you, Justin. Yeah, I thought that also. So his phone died. So remember, when you come on a Neutral Corner, you're gonna have a full charged phone, fully charged laptop. What I would like to do is start visiting some of these local gyms: Bonato's Boxing, Love's Boxing, PAL, Stay Ready Boxing. I know Tim Gillette does a lot. I know there's a lot of gyms in Florida. I definitely want to visit and speak with the coaches and speak with the fighters. I think it's important that we give them a platform where they're able to talk about their experience with the sport. I think that's important. That's something I want to do. So I will be, now that I have the things I need to be able to go out into the community and do some interviews with the sport. I think that's going to great. I think that's going to bring us to the next level. I'd definitely love to visit local gyms. Aaron Bonato from Bonato's Boxers will have a Halloween event coming up. So be sure to check out Bonato's Boxing on Facebook, or Aaron Bonato on Facebook. He's got a great program coming up with Halloween things going on at the gym. He's always big in the community, always helping out the community. So it's great. And Justin Ranowski is a huge help in that. I know he's planning on a lot of things, and so look them up, Bernardo's Boxing on Facebook, and you'll see. I'll share stuff on the Neutral Corner page and on my personal page for the people that are living in the area that want to go and experience it. And remember, he has a kids program where your son or daughter might qualify for free classes. So check that out at Bernardo's Boxing also. I want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight to the Neutral Corner. We started a little early, so we're going to end a little early to stay within that time. We've got some fights coming up. We got some fights. Boo Boo's going to be fighting. Tyson Fury's going to be fighting. I hear the Usyk thing going around, but I want to get a little bit more on that before I get excited about it. I want to definitely wish my daughter, Danielle, a happy birthday. I'm so proud of the person you are, and you keep me on my toes, and don't ever lose that. But yeah, man, this is the Neutral Corner. I want to thank everybody for joining in, and we're going to have some more guests, and I'm going to be able to get out into the community, to get out into some of these gyms and set it up. I want to thank Justin for working the background, working really hard to get Devon back on. I will be in talks with Devon. We're going to have him on again. I can guarantee you that. Devon's that type of guy. He's very humble, and he's got a lot of big things going on. For him to take time out to be on the Neutral Corner, a show that's growing, the page is growing, the viewership is growing, the activity is growing, and I want to thank everybody. Look, the Neutral Corner, these shows don't happen without you, the fans. And I want you to remember something. When I have a guest on and we're live, you can always chime in, right? And ask the guest questions and things like that. So it's important that you do that. And there's no question that's a dumb question. Oh, I got a dumb question. No, ask it. In the Neutral Corner page and on the Neutral Corner show, you don't have to feel that way. Just your engagement in the conversation, just your participation is huge. And remember that. We're not going to make you feel, and thanks to Steve for my shirt too, by the way. I love it, brother. Yeah, so don't ever feel that way. Ask a question. Get information changes situations. Learn a little bit about fighting and learn a little bit about boxing. I hate to say fighting because it's so street. Boxing is what it is, and it's a skill, and it's like fast-paced chess, right? That's what boxing to me is, fast-paced chess. So I definitely, again, thank everybody for joining on tonight, and thank you all for your involvement in the Neutral Corner page and reaching out to me. And I have a few people reaching out to me on the Neutral Corner page. I will definitely be in touch. I got some guests lined up and people lined up. I definitely want to stay with my local guys, local gyms, local fighters. I think that's important. I love to have the pros and you know, the greats like Devon Alexander and the John Scullys and the Daryl Too Sweet Coleys and the Vinny Paz and Mickey Ward and all these guys on the show. That's great. I love it. So we're going to continue to grow. I'm going to continue to do my due diligence and work hard to bring on the best guests to the show. That's what I want to do. But anyway, thank you so much for tonight. Again, thank you to Devon Alexander. I am sure if I asked him to come on again, he was like, yeah, no problem. Now, when I reached out to Devon the first time, I followed Devon on Facebook. We've talked in the past. I've asked him questions about boxing. I've asked his advice on the fights that are coming up. When I asked him, would you like to be on a Neutral Corner? This is what he says to me. Absolutely. I was like, wow, really? He was like, yeah, no problem. We got in touch. He called my cell phone. I called his cell phone, and we made it happen. And so I'm working hard to bring on some guests. If there's someone you would like to see on the show, reach out to me, inbox me. Hey, I know somebody that I'd like to see on the show. Maybe you can get in touch with them, and if I can, I will. It's about the viewers. It's about the fans of the Neutral Corner and bringing you the best and something that's going to make you get engaged into conversations and participate, because that's what it's all about. Don't forget, Catch a Side Draft. That's a badass show too. And they have a lot of fun. If you're a race fan or know somebody that's into racing, watch the Side Draft podcast. It's great. I wasn't a big race fan until I started watching racing. I didn't know nothing about it. Just like if you're watching boxing, you don't know nothing about it. Get with someone that knows a little bit and engage, and it's always great to learn something new. So thank you again for tuning into the Neutral Corner tonight. And again, thank you, Devon. Have a great night. Everything behind the jab, and you will be okay. So go out and kill the rest of the week and make the rest of your life the best of your life. Have a great night, everybody.
See, Ali's trainer right next to me is saying it. You may hear him. Down goes Lee.